I'm going to show you inside the mind of a Forex trader right now. Let's get into it. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we are going to pick a random pair and we're going to back test, and I'm just going to show you my thought process of how I trade, how I look for trades. I'm going to try to verbalize every single thought that I have as I trade live here for you. So we're going to pick a very easy pair to begin with, just a nice basic good price action pair. The most reliable pair that I find is Euro USD. Very good pair to look for setups on. So what we're going to do here is we're going to scroll back as far as we can, and we're going to use our replay mode that we have right here. If you guys don't have replay mode, you can just scroll back and you can just go one bar at a time with your arrow keys, but I have replay mode, so I'm going to use that. We're just going to go all the way back on the 15-minute. And we're going to run through the 15-minute. We're going to show you guys every single thought that I have, and we're going to give you a better look on what I kind of think as I'm trading or as I'm going through trades. I'm also going to show a nice little strategy that I like to use for continuation. I haven't talked about it yet, but I'm going to show you in this video a nice little continuation strategy that I like to trade with. Okay, so first thing I do immediately when I hop on the charts is I like to look at the 15-minute and just scroll back and get an overall view of what's happening, right? So we can obviously see here we've been in a nice little uptrend going on here. Cool. So I know I could be looking for buys or sells, but I'm not too sure yet, so I have to jump to a 4-hour time frame to get a better overall look. So I like to use the 4-hour personally. You can jump to the 1-hour, just as long as you use a higher time frame and get a better look on what's going on. So as we can see, we are actually in an uptrend. So because we're on uptrend on the 4-hour, I'm going to actually look for buys on the 15-minute as well. But before I do that, I actually want to explain something that I like to think of as well. So I'm not just going to look for buys because we're in an uptrend on the 4-hour. I also want to know like where we're going to go to, right? Like if I'm looking for buys here on the 4-hour, but we're going to reverse here anyways, why would I look for buys? So I need to look for an area where I think price should continue on the 4-hour too. Therefore, I can look for buys on the 15-minute. So I need to know if it's even reasonable for me to look for a buy anyways. So what I'll do is I'll even scroll out, or I'll go to like say the daily, for example, and I like to just mark out some general areas where I think price could continue back up to, right? So immediately the first thing I see here is we have a lot of liquidity going on in this area right here, right? So I see there's a lot happening in between these areas. So I know price, there's a high chance that price could tap back into this area. What else do I look for? Well, I look for, you know, a little trend line action going on here. Okay, so that's another little thing that I like to look for. Okay, so there's a high probability that price could come to this trend line and possibly touch here. You know, so we got two kind of forms that the charts are showing me so far. What else do I look for? Well, I look for a nice little order block. So we had this nice little impulse here, and the last green candle was this one here, right? So we have another little order block. So that's three kind of ideas that are telling me, okay, price should at least reach up to the bare minimum of this trend here, which would be this kind of lowest line here. So what I can do is I can use a horizontal ray, and I can just mark out this area. So I think at a minimum price will come to this area. It could go higher, it could not even reach it, but there's a high chance that this area is a minimum for me to look for. Okay, so cool. Now I'll jump back to the 1-hour. I'll get rid of this because we already know what's going on. I like to keep my charts kind of clean. In my head, I know that price is most likely to head up to this red line. So now we're on the 4-hour. We're back to 4-hour. We see we are in an uptrend because price is making higher lows, and also price is breaking new highs. So this was a high, it broke it, and we're going to continue to do the same thing over and over and over. We're looking good on the 4-hour, looking good on the daily. We have a direction of where price could head to. And from here, we already know, you know, there's a solid 58 pips or so to this area. So we could look for buys here. But before I look for buys, I also want to see a low time frame downtrend form, which is actually happening right now, which is good. And then I just want to see price break this trend and head back up here. More specifically though, I'm looking for a lower high to get broken. So what am I going to do? I'm going to mark the lowest high, and I want to see price break this lower high before coming up to the top of this zone here. So as we see, This is now an official area that we can look for price to break. So we're going to look for price to break and close above this area before heading back up to the top. So now we see there is another lower high formed here. So we want to see price break this lower high before taking a buy. Okay, so now that's our new lower high. And as we can see, we just had a nice little impulsive move that broke this. And just for extra confirmation, I'm going to jump to the 1 hour. I'm going to look on the 1 hour and see, okay, cool. We have a 1 hour close above our zone as well, or above our lower high. This is good news. This is what we'd like to see. Okay. Now we also need to think, where do we think price will come down to? Okay, so let's back up here for a second. This was our close here. Okay, cool. Now we need to ask ourselves, where's the liquidity? Where are institutions going to bring price back to? Where is the lowest price going to be for them? We're going to look for liquidity. We're going to look for areas with big wicks like here, right? We target this big wick. We got these little ones going on here, these ones. We could even jump to the hour and look on the hour as well. As we can see, there was a lot of liquidity from this wick here. We can bring that forward. Okay, cool. So this is looking like we have a nice little area so far. Last thing we can look for is order blocks. So on the 15-minute, the last kind of downward push was this area here. So now we have these three kind of zones where price could come into. What do we do from here? We need to decide using our own probabilities, our own discretion, where do we want to enter our trade. So personally, I like to take a nice little average of all these zones and place a buy depending on that. So we have the middle of this zone, we have the middle of this zone, and this one. So overall, it seems like price will definitely magnetize more towards this kind of zone here. You could either enter really early and have a bigger stop loss, or really late and possibly miss your trade. So that's something I like to think about as well. Is, if I enter down here, I could possibly miss the trade. If I enter up here, I'm going to have a bigger stop loss. So I like to take something in between, a nice little balance of the two. So probably something around here. That's where I'm thinking I want to enter. Okay, now if I enter here, now I need to decide, is it worth having my stop loss down here to cover if price will possibly come down here? Okay, cool. So how do I think? Okay, well, there's these big wicks here, right? We got this going on. So I don't really realistically see price coming down to here. Like this little bit of price action here seemed very impulsive. It was in and out. It seemed like most of the time price reversed from around this kind of area here. Okay, so knowing that, I think I could set my stop loss something around here and I'll be okay. So I'll go exactly to 10 pips. That'll be my stop loss. Okay, so before we get to this trade, I quickly want to mention, if you guys want to use the same broker as me, I use Henko Trade. Link will be in the description. They have spreads as low as 0 pips and they offer up to 500 leverage. If you guys want to use a small account, they also offer a minimum of $10. So you can open an account with as little as $10. Get your account funded today with crypto. Super fast, super easy. Link will be down in the description. All right, so now when I'm looking for my take profits, what I like to look for is just where I think price will come to. So we looked at this earlier. So in my head right now, I'm thinking, okay, realistically, will I see price come up to here, right? If it does, I get a nice 6.7 risk to reward. That'll be good, okay. Do I think it has a chance to go further? Well, what can I do? I go to the 1 hour. And I look, okay, most of the time price is reversing from these areas up here, right? Every time price comes up into this area, it's having a little kickback. So I know price should at least come up to this area, right? It seems to have enough momentum. It's got a lot of bullish pressure. I think we should be good to take our profit at least up here, a minimum. So this is a high probability trade in my books because I can see all of the confirmations, all the confluences are adding up. This tells me this is a high probability trade. So I'm going to risk a nice full amount of 1% on this trade here. I think we're good to move forward. A couple of things we're going to look for is some divergence. So we jump back to the 15-minute, and we're going to just look for some reversal divergence as well. So we do have a little bit of reversal divergence going on here, which is really good. That's an extra confirmation for me as well. Okay, cool. There to there. Okay, and then we have this also nice little half an hour divergence going on. Looks to be here. We got from here to here is a low, and then from here to here is it's going higher. So this is looking really solid to me here. Let's see if we got any 7 a.m. zones going on here. Looks to me like there is no 7 a.m. zones. Cool. Also, we do have this 7 a.m. zone here, so we'll mark the open price of that. So we might see price struggle a little bit at this area. So we could take our profit here if it comes down to it, but we're just going to see how price reacts. Anyways, so here we go. Let's see what goes on here. Okay, so immediately price has come down and literally tapped into our, oh, well, it hasn't actually quite tapped into our zone yet. There we go. So price is now tapped into our price. We are officially in the trade. And as we see, okay, cool. Price has now broken nice fully through the 7 a.m. zone. It's touched back in. That's okay. A little bit of retracement here. We want to see price kind of react in this zone off of this little wick here. We want to see price bouncing off of this area. Okay, this is good. We have price bouncing off. Once again, we have a nice little wick here going on. So this is good stuff. There we go. And now we're out of the trade for a nice 6.73 risk to reward ratio. Okay, so we'll keep moving on. Now something we actually missed here, I can see, this would have been a nice, another trade here that you could have took as well. So this was a higher low as well. Price broke the higher low. And as you can see, it came back into this, like I said, I marked out this wick earlier. You can see price came back into this wick, this liquidity area. So I probably would have entered something like that and had a nice little 10 stop loss. But we never took that trade. We miss trades all the time, so it's fine. We're just gonna get rid of that. Okay, cool. So over here we have a nice little win to loss. We're gonna mark down all our wins, all our losses, and we're gonna see how we come out at the end of this. Okay, perfect. So 6.7 risk to reward is our win. So we're gonna risk $1,000 per stop loss. So our win would be 6.7K. So that's our win for this trade. Cool. Now we're gonna keep moving on. Okay, so we're gonna continue here. Price actually did come up to our little zone here. So most people would probably be looking for buys here. I'm not gonna look for a buy because it has come up to our area, and now it seems to actually be like it's reversing out of this area here. Just gonna remove all the drawings for now. We're gonna start with a clean slate again. So what we want to see is we either want to see price come down here and we want to look for buys off of this low here, or if price breaks this low, we're going to want to look for sells, because this will be the start to a new downtrend on the higher time frame. So as we see, price has broken through very nicely. Hasn't really reacted off of it. It just kind of broke straight through. So this tells me a weakening. This is like telling me, okay, price is weak in the bullish side and strong enough in that bearish side to just break straight through, so there would be no point in looking for buys. This is telling me price is very bearish right now. So price is going to push back up obviously into some liquidity. We do have this nice little order block here, so price probably wants to tap into that, which we are seeing now. Will price go higher? I don't know. Okay, so nice. We have a nice little clean break now, and we've also broken a new low. So now we could probably start looking for sells. I told you guys earlier I'm going to tell you a little bit of a continuation trades thing that I like to use, and I'm going to show you guys exactly now how I trade with that. So what I like to do is, this is a really small risk to reward strategy that I like to use. It's very consistent. It has a high win rate, but your wins aren't going to be like really big compared to your losses. You're actually going to have a really small reward versus your risk. So what I like to look for is, I like for price to come back and to fill some of this kind of imbalance here, or a gap here, and I immediately set my stop loss above that last high, because as you guys know, price will continue to go down when it's in a trend, and it will make these new highs, right? And price has to break these highs to go into an uptrend. So it's very unlikely that price will break these unless it wants to do a reverse. So that means I could set my stop losses up there, right? That tells me, okay, I can set my stop losses. Okay, so I see this nice little imbalance going on here, a little order block there. So I'm assuming, right, because I don't know, I don't have a crystal ball, I can most likely set my stop loss up here, or sorry, my entry up here, right on that order block, set my stop loss above this high because price has to break this high for a reversal or a major reversal to happen on, let's say, the 1 hour, right? So we're safe to set our stop loss up there. And then for this, I actually use a 0.5 risk to reward. So this is just like a quick in and out kind of trade thing that I like to use whenever we are in a continuation of a trend. Okay, so cool, we tapped right into our order block. We are now in the trade, and now we are going to see if price, there we go. So that was a quick trade. If we're risking 1,000, this would have been a $500 trade. So we'll add another little 500 there. And we can do that over and over again. As a new low gets broken and a new high gets made, we just do that over and over, right? Okay, cool. So now we're also going to, since we are in a 4-hour downtrend, we're going to look for where price will most likely continue to. Okay, so we already had a reversal from this area here. So it is likely that price could reverse from here again, or it could surge lower to this zone here. Okay, so now we have our direction. Cool. Price is making a new low here. Price is pulling back up into this zone here. We have this kind of big order block here that price has actually hit. So I would set my stop loss quite above there and do another little 0.5 risk to reward. See, these are these quick trades that I take sometimes, and he almost got stopped out there, but that's another 500 there. So we'll actually just add a little tick here, and we'll say we got 2 of those. Cool. Okay, now we also see that we do have a break of a low. We did have a break of a low here, and it kind of came back up into some liquidity already. So this trade is already over. We aren't going to look for anything there. All right, so I'll just go to the 1 hour right now and just kind of skim through, because it is looking like price is weakening here. We're having a little bit of consolidation. We are continuing though, which is good. We've made a big impulse. Price is most likely going to fill this gap somewhere up here. Okay, we filled the gap a little bit. Okay, this is looking like a good spot to look for a sell. So we do want to see a new high get made, or we want to see price break this. There's too much going on here for a sell to happen there. So not going to look for anything. So right now I'm just waiting. Okay, we did have a nice little break here, but we want to check on the 1 hour just to make sure. Nope, we had wicks. So that is not an official break, so we're not going to look for anything there. Cool. Okay, so we did actually have a break here, and we might be a little late now because the price already came back up. That's okay though. We can look for a sell. We have some liquidity here. If I go to the 15-minute, now I'm looking for order blocks. So before we broke this was a nice little order block here. So I could look for a sell here with a nice stop above that high, and then target at least we could target this as a minimum. Once again, we'll check back into the hour or 4 hour actually, and we will see what is going on beyond here. Okay, so we did cross that. Next point of interest would probably be this high here, including the top of this little zone here. So it looks like we're already coming down to touch into that area. So I could take a sell. I'm gonna leave my sell because I would have placed it here, but I just saw in the 4 hour that price did end up coming down. But anyways, I would have took the sell anyways, so we're gonna have that there with that as our minimum. Okay, cool. So we would have missed our entry anyways. Price never actually came back in and touched into our entry. That's okay though. So now we also have another little imbalance going on here. This zone needs to be filled up here, and we'll do another one of those continuation trades. Okay, so we're literally just gonna enter here, put our stop above there, have a nice little 0.5 risk to reward. Cool. So yeah, as we continue here to look for more trades, we are in the middle of this trade right now. Okay, cool. So I think, yes, we would have exited this trade for another little 500. So that's cool there. Now if I jump here, as we can see, we are touching the bottom of this channel again, so it is likely that we might see a nice little reversal happen on the high time frames, as we're also coming to the very edge of this wedge here. So I think I would probably wait. There we go. We have a little break here. Okay, so now we want to see price come back and most likely fill this kind of zone here, which we just tapped into. I was going too fast there, so we're a little late, but if we go to the 15-minute, our entry should have been here, and with wicks here, we jump to the hour. Okay, so we missed this trade, but I would have probably entered somewhere around here, so I think I would have missed it anyways, which is all right. That's okay, you're gonna miss lots of trades, but we're gonna look for a little continuation trade anyways. Price has broke this high here. We want price to actually break this high before we look for any continuation. Okay, cool, price has broke the high. Having a little pullback into this order block. See, now this is where I would enter one of those continuation trades again and have a nice little $500 risk to reward. So as we see, once again, boom, that's a nice little, another $500. Cool. Okay, so boom, boom, boom. So price is looking really good. It's looking like it wants to continue higher. We have to at least fill some imbalance into this area here. So we want to see price come up here. Cool. And the reason being is because I see there's this empty void here that price most likely will want to fill. We also have a lot of liquidity in this area, so I'm thinking, okay, the banks might want to bring price back up here to look for sells. So we're going to see if price can come up there, right? If we know that's our overall target, we are going to look for a nice little downtrend form on the 15, which we're seeing happen right now. Cool. Okay, so we got a little bit of stuff going on here. That's the high. We broke the high, and it's looking to me like there's a lot of liquidity going on in this area here, which is just an overall. We see liquidity in this zone here. See, now this is where I probably wouldn't take a trade. Well, maybe I would. So this is like the lowest we could probably go on the 4 hour. But see, on the 1 hour, we did just break this, so it looks like on the 1 hour, we want to continue down. Now, this is somewhere where I would probably take a trade, but I wouldn't risk as much. So I would probably enter right there. I would have a stop nice and below this low here, just because that's like our fail safe here. This is where price will most likely not go past. And we want to see, like I said, price come all the way up here. Realistically, though, I think we could grab something from this zone here, and the reason being is because this is some liquidity going on here. I can also see this as a nice little order block, and as you see, price reacts off that. It's reacted a little bit here, not quite. So this would be a nice little 3.56 trade or risk to reward. Now in a trade like this, where I feel it's a little bit more risky, I'm going to risk less. So for here, I'm only going to use $500 stop loss. So if I win, I will win about 1.7K. And if I lose, I only lose 500, which is all right. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take this trade. And we're gonna see what happens here. Okay, cool. As we see, price shoots right back up into our profit there. So we have a nice 3.5. Like I said, we would have won 1.7 because we risked less. And that is okay, it's okay. Instead of winning 3.5, I won 1.7, which is totally fine. Okay, so as we continue, we want to see price fill this little imbalance here. Price has broke that, so we're gonna do our little half thing here. So we're gonna see. Okay, boom. Now this right here, this could most likely be manipulation, could be news, but it is okay. We have enough wins to cover this loss, so this would have been a nice little $1,000 loss here. So we have a $1,000 loss. So 8.7 and plus 1.7. Which would be 10K. So we made about 10,400 and then minus that. So our total profit from, how long did we trade here for? Oh, I think we started back here. So yeah, in about a month of trading, we end up $9,400 up for the month. So yeah, that's just an insight into how I trade. Hopefully that was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you guys like that, and I'll do more videos very similar. But yeah, if you guys want to join the Discord, link will be down below. We're doing really good in there. We just hit 6K. We're at 5K like last week, so every week we're growing more and more and more. It's awesome. You guys are doing great in there. Keep it up. Thanks for watching.